Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. So we got some great news over the past couple of days in regards to some anime archetypes getting support. Now, we already knew that these archetypes were getting new support, those archetypes being Yugioh's archetype, Sherry's archetype, and Ruri's archetype from Arc 5 5Ds and Arc 5 respectively, but we got some specific details on Ruri's LYRILUSC monsters and on Sherry's monsters, and some really cool spells as well that I was not expecting that are clear references, well, not even references, they were literally used in her last duel against Aki and Crow, and I went on record a couple of weeks ago saying I'd be stunned if those cards got printed, and it looks like we're getting them, which is really, really exciting. But we're going to start with Ruri's LYRILUSC, and I have to say, this LYRILUSC support, I know a lot of people are very hyped about it. Does this make Ruri the best bracelet girl? Now, you know, I'm going to go with my girl Serena. We say Luna Lights for life. It's a catchphrase we have here on the channel, especially with Duel Links. But I'm sure some people will be coining the phrase LYRILUSC for life, especially after this support. So we got some new LYRILUSC monsters. The ones I'll be focusing on are obviously the XZ's monsters. If you want to read the effects or, you know, analyze these effects, I'll link the page down below. I'm not going to go card by card. It's not really my style. I like to just kind of focus on the boss monsters, and if there's any anime references or cards that were anime exclusive prior to these announcements. All of these are brand new cards. I do not believe any of them were used in the Arc 5 anime. Granted, we only saw Ruri duel twice. We saw her lose to her brother Shun, and then we saw her lose to Yugioh while she was possessed. Actually, she was possessed in both duels. It's still a sin that we never saw Ruri duel in a non-possessed state, a non-brainwashed state. But, you know, that's a discussion for another time. So, we have some effect monsters, Lyrical Lucinia Celeste Wagtail, and Lyrical Lucinia Beryl Canary. But the monster that I really want to focus on is this XZ's monster. It is a rank 1, which is obviously the gimmick of LYRILUSC, a rank 1 Lyrical Lucinia ENSEMBLUE Robin. And I really think that this card has a great effect. Now, this was the card design that we got when the cards were first leaked, that they were going to be in this upcoming set. And so the effects read, it gains 500 attack for each material attached to it. If your opponent special summons a monster, you can detach one material from this card, then target one of those monsters and return it to the hand. If this card in your possession is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card, you can target one other LYRILUSC monster in your grave and add it to your hand. So this is, I believe, a really good card. I feel like this is a very good opening play card because of that second effect. I had to read it a couple times to realize that that second effect is not a hard once per turn. It's not a once per turn at all. So at the bare minimum, if you summon this card, you are going to be able to bounce 2 special summoned monsters back to your opponent's hand, which I feel like is a really, really good effect. And if you're able to summon this monster with 3 or 4 overlay units, then you basically block your opponent out of that many special summons, which is really, really good. I mean, most decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Do utilize heavily that special summon aspect. So this monster, which negates that as many times as you need it to, for of course how many overlay units it has, I feel like this is a really good opening play for a LYRILUSC deck to make. And then if this card does get destroyed, you can just target a LYRILUSC monster in your grave and add it back to your hand. Any monster but this one, so probably a monster that you used to go into this play in the first place. So I feel like this is a really good card. I don't really know much about the intricacies of the LYRILUSC deck, but that second effect seems really, really good. We got another XZ's monster, Lyrical Lucinia PROM THRUSH, which is the same exact requirements, 2+ level 1 monsters, same base stat, 0/0, same first effect even, gains 500 attack for each material attached to it. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, then target one spell or trap your opponent controls, shuffle it into the deck, and then finally at the start of the damage step, if another one of your monsters battles, you can detach any number of materials from this card. Your battling monster gains 300 attack for each material detached attached until the end of this turn. I am pretty sure the traditional ace of LYRILUSC, I've gone up against it a few times, the XYZ monster that is the main play, allows you to attack directly, so maybe you would want to combo this card with that card that allows you to attack your opponent directly, and if this monster has 3 overlay units, you can give it a bit of a boost, close to a 1,000 attack point boost. Honestly, I feel like this card's effects are not incredibly great. I feel like the other XYZ monster is just so much better. The destroying one spell or trap is pretty neat, but I feel like with the way Yugioh is played, the hand traps are the big thing nowadays. Again, I'm not the best to kind of speak on the current meta, but I know trap, at least when I was playing back in like 2019, decently competitively, I know traps were very slow. I know not a lot of people utilize spell cards, so I can't imagine that this effect would be that useful in today's day and age of Yu-Gi-Oh! So it just seems like the other XYZ monster is much better, but still really, really cool LYRILUSC cards. We got a spell as well, Lyrical Lucenia Bird Sanctuary, and Lyrical Lucenia Hyoko no Reiko, and of course we have our reprints as well. So you guys let me know your thoughts on LYRILUSC, but I really do love that first XYZ monster that we went over. I feel like it is a really, really good effect. And now we are going to move over to Sherry LeBlanc's cards. So Sherry LeBlanc, which again, this is going to be in the pack Duelists of the Gale, is getting some pretty cool new monsters and some old support as well that she used in the anime. The first monster that we are getting is Sage de Fleur, which is a beefy effect monster, 2900 attack. Both effects have a hard once per turn. You can target one monster you control and one other card on the field, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, destroy those targets. So you can basically tribute summon this card onto your field by sacrificing a monster that your opponent controls, or even a spell or a trap that your opponent controls. I mean, it doesn't really specify. And then if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can target a monster in your grave, shuffle it into the deck, then add one level 1 plant monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. That's obviously in order to probably get the tuner monster to make some of these synchros. And the synchros that we are getting, the one that was obviously featured is Fleur de Baroness. This beautiful monster, 3000 attack, level 10 Wind Warrior synchro monster, 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner, so generic materials, which is kind of cool. You can only use this card's name's second effect once per turn. The first effect reads that you can target one card on the field and destroy it. The second effect is a quick effect. When a card or effect is activated, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. And then the final effect is, during the standby phase once per turn, return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon that monster. So that could be a cool way to maybe get Sage de Fleur or another high-leveled monster back onto your field. So I really do love Sherry's card. She uses very beefy, very strong, very beautiful, very French monsters, which I absolutely love. But there are really cool cards that was actually in a different article that we are getting of Sherry's, and some of these cards, actually most of them, were used in the anime. The first being the fusion monster CENTAUR MINA. Now, I talked about CENTAUR MINA having a pretty underwhelming effect in the anime. Its anime effect was only, you can negate the activation of an opponent's trap and return it to the original position. It also was a specific fusion. It needed Sacred Knight's Spearholder and Horse of the Floral Knights. I had a feeling if this was going to get printed, that would not be the case, and they definitely did make it more generic. It's not purely generic. You still need a Light Warrior monster and a Beast monster, which is obviously a little bit of a reference to the original materials, the specific exclusive materials that you once needed to fusion summon this monster back when it was an anime only monster. So they did make it a little easier to bring out, and it does keep that effect. It does keep the effect that once per turn, when your opponent activates a trap, you can negate the activation, and if you do, set that card, but it gains 2 effects as well. During your main phase, you can special summon 1 level 2 or lower monster from your hand or grave, and then if this card is sent to the grave as synchro material for a Wind Warrior monster, you can destroy 1 face-up monster on the field. So obviously, that's going to be the goal with this fusion monster. It doesn't have a crazy good effect. It doesn't have a really good attack stat, but it does get a very good pass-along effect if you can use it as material for a synchro wind monster. That is the goal of Centaur Mina. Really cool we're getting it. Two other cards we got to go over real quick. Two spells that were very iconic in Sherry's Season 5 duel, her final duel against Aki and Crow. And that is the field spell. I'm stunned we're getting these. École de Zone and the field spell Soulbinding Gate. Again, I am shocked that we are getting these cards. École de Zone was the field spell that made Aki and Crow battle each other's monsters without realizing it. It basically separated them and then like flipped the fields. It was a really, really bizarre beginning to that duel, but Aki and Crow were just destroying each other's monsters, dealing each other damage without realizing it. And then once they realized it, they were able to break the field spell and then focus their attention back on Sherry. Even the artwork, I love it. It's very trippy, and knowing that you're supposed to have like two floors in this card. Like, I feel like the top left is like one floor with the staircase, and the bottom right is another floor, or a ground, I should say, the ground, not really a floor. It's a trippy artwork, which I absolutely love, and it's just a trippy origin story for this card. And then the other one that is a little more vicious, Soulbinding Gate. This gate literally grabs Sherry in the middle of the duel, and as she gets more and more angry and more into despair, you can see the gate feeding off of her. At one point, it even lifts her up and raises her right before, I believe, Crow delivers the final blow. And this field spell reads that during the main phase, if exactly one summoned monster whose attack is lower than your life points and zone is in your graveyard, so you need that zone spell card to be in your grave, destroy that monster, and if you do, take 800 damage, then inflict 800 damage to your opponent. And you can activate this card if you control no monsters, and a set spell / trap you control was destroyed by card effects this turn. Honestly, I cannot see these cards actually being useful. I think it's super cool that we're getting them, but I can't see, maybe École de Zone, I can't see Soulbinding Gate. I mean, the activation requirement is ridiculous, and then you can only get the effect off if Zone is in the grave, so obviously the goal would be to set the Zone spell card, hope your opponent pops it, and then activate Soulbinding Gate if you have it in hand. But then I feel like the effect isn't even that great. You need your opponent to only summon one monster, so yeah, it's a really, really cool ode. I don't see these cards being that effective, at least Soulbinding Gate, but really amazing that we're getting it, and I'll stand by my word. I am shocked that we are getting those cards. We're also getting Horse of the Floral Knights, Noble Knight's Spear Holder, and Noble Knight's Shield Bearer as well. Some other anime-exclusive cards for Sherry's deck. So, really cool stuff. Some girl power in this video. Ruri and Sherry, their cards and their legacy living on here in early 2021, which you absolutely love to see. I definitely plan on picking up a box of this set only because, you know, I absolutely love anime support like this. So this set has definitely sold me, along with many other sets coming out in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG this year. But guys, leave all your thoughts on these new cards down below. Thank you so much for watching. And a special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, Panther J, Blue Maiden 28, Jarrett Buller, XLayer64, Brandon Gomez, and TenjoKogamiZaizen, and to my Diamond tier patrons, Jesse Wood, Latrell Smith, and Anime Kaput, and to my Egyptian God tier patron, XZ's Lover 104. Thank you so much to everyone who supports me on Patreon, and to everyone who is a YouTube channel member. You guys help me out tremendously. I'm on Twitch, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Twitter. All those links will be down below. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.